Hey everybody, I wanted to share with you guys, obviously, my new game, Quest for the Lost Pixel. So I know I just uploaded a video. Here's pretty much a redo of that. So this would be like 1.5. This one's really cool just because of the fact that what I showed you last time almost is completely changed as far as like stats and stuff go. But I want to keep you guys up to date because it seems like a few of you are kind of interested in this game, which is awesome because it really boosts my morale for this. And I do have a special update that I'd like, or a special thing, I guess you could say, at the end of this that I want to share with you. But here we go. So, in the game, you choose one of a few different heroes. So, as I showed you before, I had 3 different heroes. Now I have 4. All right. So before, the stats were a little bit different. Obviously, this was a little bit different. Things change. So again, you take your hero through a dungeon. The dungeon is completely randomized every time. The goal is to get through all 10 floors, each one getting harder and harder and harder as it goes. And then on the 10th floor, the goal is to find the lost pixel. All right. Each floor consists of many different items, many different monsters, and many different events, being traps or new anything that'll happen, like shops or doorways or hallways, all sorts of different stuff. So here we have you know, the alchemist. He can look at potions. So really quickly, potions. When you pick up a potion from the dungeon, you can't look at it. The only way you'll be able to actually use the potion is when you actually drink it. So say you want to use a potion, you use the potion immediately. Most of them are good things, but some of them are bad. So there is a consequence in using them sometimes. The alchemist negates that. He can actually look at the potion before actually taking it. And then here are the stats. All right, pretty much the same as last time, but now they all have hit points. This way, it gives a little bit more versatility to the game. I like hit points. All right, here we go. We got the fighter. This one gains +2 against any monster during the encounter phase. So there's a few different phases when you start. When you start moving, when you move your character, it is called the explorer phase, or the explore phase. So pretty much what you'll do is every in the game you'll get a little like card, and that card will be on a stand, and that stand, that character card, will be moving along the dungeons, just like so. When you are exploring, that's what you'll do, and then when you encounter, which is when you actually encounter a monster, what will happen is this guy will get +2 strength towards that monster to try to defeat him, which is pretty awesome. You have the huntress, which is good, +2 against any event with the trap trait, which is amazing when those events come along. There are a lot of traps. And then the wizard, gain +2 to any spell that you play. And this, I think, may change a little bit, but we'll see where it goes on. So, as I said before, a lot of things have changed. You get a character, you pick that character out, and then whatever character you get to play with is what you're going to stick with for the rest of the game. You start off with 1 hero and then 1 spell. Every character can use spells, which I think is pretty unique to this. You wouldn't really associate a fighter with spells, but everybody can use a spell, and some benefit others a little bit more than like the fighter's probably not going to be amazing with spells, but he can use some, which is good. There's a lot of variety. So you also, if any of you guys have ever played Munchkin before, you get different equipment that you can attach to yourself that'll give you some really good buffs. All right, and that equipment is headgear, and then you have armor, and then you have some boots. Oop, this way. So right now, I'll show you guys this all in a second, but I'm really excited. You can also give your hero 2 accessories, and as soon as you equip it, it stays equipped until you decide to change it out. All right. So we'll go. Oh, and then you get 1 weapon as well. So 1 weapon. Let's see, what should I show you first? We'll go into headgear. We'll start from the top down. So headgear. Headgear will give you always plus anything to your base stats, and maybe sometime there will be a little like description or ability that'll give you kind of like a boost or a buff. So this one, the chain hood gives you +1 strength. This one's +1 dexterity for the leather cap, and then the mage's cap gives you +1 intelligence, which is pretty good. And then we have the armor. Now you guys are gonna get it may look a little busy to you, but very easy to explain. So animal skin gives you 1 defense, and this is 1 physical defense. Anything in this is always going to be physical. So So it's a boost to your physical defense. Even when it says +1 strength, that's +1 physical strength, +1, you know, any of that stuff. Anything will come out of here is going to be physical. And then you have your elemental stats, all right? This can be to block fire attacks or ice attacks, light attacks, dark attacks, air attacks, lightning attacks, earth attacks, and then poison attacks. So these can block a certain value. So if somebody does, like if, oh, I'll show you in a second. But these are different elemental stats that you can gain, which is really cool. Then your leather armor, a little bit better with the defense there, it gives you 2, and then still no elemental stats. Now the white robe is really good. It doesn't give you any physical defense, but what it does is it gives you 2 light defense and 2 dark defense, which is really good. So if somebody was trying to do an attack at you like a dark attack, and they did 3 dark attack at you, you can subtract that and you'll only receive 1. So if somebody did 2 at you, you completely block it, which is awesome. So there's the white robe. Next we have the boots. Boots, I've only got 1 set of these, and this just gives you 1 speed, which allows you to walk 1 extra space in the dungeon, which is pretty good. Keeps you moving. Oh goodness. And then we'll go to weapons. Alrighty. So, a lot more weapons than there is other stuff so far. These ones are actual attacks, so fire attack, you know, these aren't defense. Yeah, I won't explain all that. So we have 1d4 minus 1, which you have a possibility of rolling the highest 3 physical strength, which is not too bad. This one is a 1d4 strength, or you can use your dexterity and 1d4, or I'm sorry, your strength with 1d4 minus 1. So if I was a fighter, I would probably want to roll this one, or if I was the ranger, or the hunter rather, I'm probably going to want to roll my dexterity because I get a d10, plus I get the 1d4 here. So there's the dagger. Earth Staff, I get no, but I have to roll my intelligence die to get this effect here. So whatever the boost says, I get the effects down here, or here. So I need the boost. So for instance, the dagger, if this had an elemental stat here, I can roll the dagger, or I can roll a dexterity, and I'll gain these stats. This one, I have to roll my intelligence die to gain this 1d4 earth attack. Now you might ask, well, why bother even rolling any of these? Because certain monsters will be more defensive against maybe your physical attack, or maybe a fire attack, or maybe even your earth attack. So you want to make sure that you have some more attacks that are better and more suited for the situation, like a fire imp. He's going to be pretty good at defending fire, so you're going to want to use something other than fire to try to hit him. So you got a lot of variety here to choose from. And then you got your fire wand, which does 1d4 minus 1. Again, you have to roll your intelligence die. And a long bow, and then your long sword, and then poison dart's another one. It's these strengths or dexterity, which is pretty good because you also get a 1d4 minus 1 poison, which is really good. So you're rolling 2 die here no matter what. You're just subtracting more if you're doing a strength. So you want to be your hunter for that. All right. The next thing. One last thing I want to share. So you might ask yourself, well, why run into any monsters in the dungeon? What are monsters going to do? Like, why can't I just avoid them? Well, when you defeat a monster, at the bottom of each out of the corner, it'll say XP1 or XP2. So it'll give you experience points. And once you reach a level, then you can start using higher level weapons. So if I'm going to just try to avoid everything, I'm only going to ever be level 1. So once you reach X amount of experience, then you can start using better weapons. So it gives you incentive to actually level up, all right, to fight those monsters, because you can level up. And not only do you get to use better weapons, but every time you level up, you gain a new spell card to use throughout the dungeon. So that is big stuff too. So that's those are weapons. So on top of that, there's a new mechanic that I put in here is artifacts. And artifacts are really, really rare and epic loot. So when you get the epic loot, what'll happen is like the abyssal staff. Again, you have to roll your intelligence die, but you get some really awesome stats here. So you do have your attack here, and then you've got your defense here. So obviously this isn't going to defend, but you might have weapons that might do both. All right, so again, it kind of looks busy, but once you look at it and kind of take a second to just see what's going on here, you completely understand. Now, see that the level is actually gone. This means I can use these weapons at any time, no matter what level I'm at. But artifacts are very hard to get. You can only get them either by killing an elite monster or somehow finding it on the dungeon, which is really rare to do, but it can happen. But you get some really awesome loot this way. And then you have the crystal armor, which is really good. So you get 4 physical defense, plus you get 3 ice defense and 1 light defense, which is awesome. The golden sword, which does 1d8 physical strength damage. And then the hellfire crossbow, which you have to roll your dexterity die, but you get 1d8 fire attack, which is really good. All right. You guys have seen all the dungeon tiles, but really quickly, dungeon tiles, show you here. I incorporated a few new ones. So you guys may have seen ones, you have water, and you've seen the lava. I don't know why I said it like that, lava. But now there's acid tiles, or acid spaces, which can do some pretty, I mean, these, for example, all right, to traverse through water, it's going to take 2 of your speed, all right? So it's going to take double the amount to walk through this. To traverse through poison, when I walk through this, it's going to do 1 damage to me. Now, it's still only 1 space, but it's doing 1 damage. Lava is the pain, because when you go through lava, it takes double your speed, so it takes 2 speed to go through it, and it does 1 damage. So these ones you want to kind of avoid a little bit more. These ones suck, but these ones suck more. These ones really suck too. All these are not beneficial at all. But there's potions that'll help you, and items that'll help you as well. This one's a treasure room, which is really good. You want to go through that for sure. But here, so like I showed you before in the last video, you have these dungeon tiles here, which is this whole thing. When you go to this one, these red treasure chests are your artifacts, and there's only going to be these 2 tiles in the entire deck. So there's going to be double of every single one of these tiles in your game, except for these 2 tiles. These 2 tiles will only be 2, so coming across these are going to be rare. Now this one's an easy one to get to, because you just walk into the room and you grab this artifact. This one, you got an event coming up, you have this lava pool, and then you can get the artifact, and then you can keep going. So it's a little different there. Let's see, events are different things that'll happen. So we can see that question mark. As soon as the question mark appears, you pull up an event. So you got some different events that happen. Like I said, most of these are traps, and you need to do some checks to actually get past them. If you do not pass them, most of the time you're taking damage and your turn immediately ends. So some really cool events there. Let's see, monsters. So I finished the first 2 floors finally of monsters, and I had to redo all of these. Now a lot of the stuff's changed, and I told you some of this stuff is pretty busy, but for the most part, like I said, when you actually look at it and kind of take in what's going on, you kind of understand what's happening. So when you verse something, it's going to have a little bit of defense. You might have a little bit of defense here, but for the most part, you're just taking out its hit points. And then it has the opportunity to attack you with a 1d4 minus 2, so it'll do 1d4 minus 2 physical damage, and then 1d4 poison damage. So you roll both those die at the same time and then subtract 2. So that's pretty much it. So I'll just kind of go through these fairly quickly. That way you guys can take a look. So with the bat, got a couple versions. The floating eye, a giant ant, giant beetle, giant firefly, giant fly, giant moth, a kobold mage, a kobold rogue, a kobold, a myconid, a rat, a skeleton, a couple versions of those, a couple different slimes here, got a couple snakes. You have the thorn devil, which again is the elite, so you can tell that by the color of this. I do want to mention, nothing against colorblind people. My father's also colorblind, but this is not a game for colorblind people because there are a lot of different colors that associate with themselves with things, so I apologize to the colorblind. And then the zombie. And then level 2, I'll go through this fairly quickly. I know this video is going to be kind of long, but a lot of really good information out of this. I really am excited about this game. This is definitely my biggest project, and I cannot wait to release this. But we got the Battle Briar, Black Widow, so a lot of spiders. So the floor 2 is very spider-esque with a lot of dogs and a couple of goblins and stuff like that, but a lot of spiders and dogs. Brain Beast, oh, and imps. So the Butcher Imp. So this is an elite monster. So this is the Butcher Imp. Imps, there's a lot of imps in here. Kind of a magical beast. So you got the Cockatrice, which is pretty good. We got the Crawler, another Crawler, a Dark Imp, an Earth Imp, the Fire Imp, Goblin, the Hellhound, which is pretty good. And then these hounds and dogs and wolves, the cool thing about them is they're very weak. But if you don't kill them in the first turn, man, they do some crazy damage to you. So you want to try to kill these guys fairly quickly. Hobgoblin, Hound, Ice Imp, Ice Wolf. And again, you know, it only says 1d -4 here, but you're rolling both of these die. So it's going to do 1d4 plus 1d4. So you roll 2d4 and then subtract 1 from that. So it's pretty good. And he's got 1 ice defense. So watch yourself. And then here's the second elite. So with each floor you go through, the first floor will only have 1 elite monster, the second floor will have 2, the third floor will have 3, the fourth will have 4, and so on and so forth. So you got more elite monsters as you go. The Rust monster, which is pretty good. Spider. We got the War Dog. Again, he's attacking. He's heavy. He's a heavy hitter. Wolf, 1d4 plus 2, which is pretty intense. And that's it for the wolves, or for the second floor so far. Couple things last 2 things I want to show you is the potions. So the potions are going to be on smaller cards, so the font's a little bit bigger here, but again, you won't know what these are, so you'll only know what the card backs are, and then as soon as you want to play a potion, then you say, alright, I want to play this potion, and then you take the effect as soon as you flip the card over. So this one's, I'm not going to get into this one, but this one's a bad one. You got other ones that'll raise your dexterity, which is really good if you're the hunter. This one will raise your health, which is good. I mean, that's never a bad thing. This one raises your intelligence. Oh, I gotta get rid of that one. Potion of Liquid Foot. So this one, you're able to walk over water, lava, and acid spaces as if it was just a normal floor space. So this one's a really good one, and just at random. But it can only happen during your turn. Of course, you never know. This one's the Potion of Loss, which destroys one of the pieces of equipment you have, which sucks. Strength plus 2 there. The Toxic one, this one makes you lose 2 HP. And then, of course, there's going to be more potions and stuff like that, but a lot of different stuff. And the last thing are the spells. These are some of the most balanced cards I've got for sure so far. So what you're looking at here, instead of like those skills cards, like I said, you're going to get 1 spell, and then every time you level up, you're going to gain another spell. So they're going to have a spell type, so some of them you'll use against a monster, and of course you're going to have to subtract from it if you're going to use it against it, because this is a poison. But Corrode, which is an arcane spell, tells you the spell use when you actually use it is during the encounter phase, so again when you're fighting a monster. The restrictions, you can only use it once per turn, so once each turn. So what'll happen is sometimes you'll have 1 each turn, and then some will say once each floor. So that's what you want to kind of look out for. Sometimes you can use once during the turn, and then just next turn you can use it again, next turn you can use it again. Whereas the ones that say once each floor, you can only use it once on that floor. So you got to be really smart and strategic when you're going to use that. And then of course what the ability is. Your hero may gain their dexterity, which is you're rolling for dexterity, plus 1 towards a combat check, which is pretty good. Imbue. This one says once each floor, and an ability, your hero may gain their strength plus 1d6 towards a combat check, which again is a combat check is when you're actually versing a monster. Alright, and then I'll just go through these fairly quickly here. You got a Fireball, which is pretty good. Flight, which is awesome because again, this is another one that you can use, again, unfortunately only once per floor, but you can go over water, fire, or acid spaces, which is really good. Haste, which is pretty neat, gives you plus 2 speed. Heal, of course you'll heal yourself. Ice Spirit, which is good. Invisibility, you can bypass a monster. That's maybe in your way or whatnot that you don't really want to face. Phase, you can go through a non-corner wall space, which is really good. So say I was going through a dungeon, which with the last spell, I'll show you guys. This one. Say I want to go this way, but I don't want to go this way or this way. I want to go up. You can do that and just bypass this. Oh, I forgot to show you item cards. Last one. Last bit of stuff. And then item cards are just really quick things that you can keep in your inventory, which is your hand. Your hand is what I'm considering your inventory, and you can only have up to 7 cards in your hand or in your inventory. That's all you can hold. And then after you reach the end of the floor, you have to discard back the 7 cards. So you can collect a whole bunch during the floor, but you can only start the next floor with only 7 cards in your hand. But you get some really cool ones on floor 1. Like the pickaxe is really helpful. It goes through spaces. You'll get all sorts of different rune stones and then different food and whatnots. But that's pretty much it so far. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. Again, this game is called Quest for the Lost Pixel. I'm super excited about this, and the one thing I wanted to tell you guys that I mentioned in the beginning of the video is what I'd like to do is maybe kind of get some of you guys involved who are really artistically inclined. So I'm looking for a really cool way, like a really cool logo, I guess you can say, for the back of the card and possibly even for the front of the box. But for the back of the card specifically, I want a cool logo of, the Quest for the Lost Pixel. So if any of you guys are up for the challenge, you guys know my email address. I'll put that in the description below. But if you guys want to send me something, or if you're interested, let me know. I'm definitely down for any of you guys sending me anything. I'd appreciate it. But other than that, that's pretty much all I got, you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if it's too complicated. I'm trying to streamline this as best as I possibly can. I know the cards look kind of busy, but I've been staring at these nonstop for the last few days, and I know I might be used to it. But the more I look at it, the more I completely understand what's going on each card. I know that if you guys were to play this, it would kind of hit you guys the same way, I'm sure. But that's pretty much all I have. So I'm gonna go to sleep. Other than that, you guys have a great. You guys should have a good night. Thanks for watching, everyone.